Hello, my sleep paralysis demons, and welcome back to Escaping Nightmares. Today, I'm really excited because Jessica wrote an original story based on a piece of my art. I really hope you guys enjoy, and there's Jessica.
Nightmares. I'm Jess.
I'm Bree.
Skeletons and monsters. With the simple twist of my creative writing and stories that I love to do. But this is all based off Bree's Basement Beast original art.
I'll show it on this camera, but I'll probably put my TikTok or another video that shows it better because my computer camera's kind of shitty. But this is what Jessica's writing a story about. I'll put better pictures in there also. It's just a little skeleton guy by a lake. This one just kind of came to me. I didn't really have a story or anything about it, but I thought it was cute. The creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, the thing.
That's what he's based on. The creature from the Black Lagoon. Obviously, kind of looks like him a little bit. But yeah, he's encased in resin, and this is made out of clay. And this is what Jessica wrote a story about. So I'm really excited. Really excited to hear it. Take it away, Jess.
Unique, an original story by me, illustration by Bree. Skeleton Edition. In the night, the dead come down to the river to drink. They share their stories of when they were living, the fear that dictated some of their lives. It even held some of them back from the dreams they had. Here are some of their stories. We've all heard about monsters that live in the lakes. It's a fear that sets off our instincts deeply rooted inside of us. Every time we feel something brush up against our leg or our feet, we think it's a fish or weed in the water. Yet we still swim and tell ourselves, it's just stories. There's no such thing as monsters. Well, here's a story of the curse of Harvest Lake in Oregon. A legend goes back to the early 1900s. The story says there was a lake filled with beautiful emerald green water surrounded by towering oak trees with twisting branches and roots swaying in the currents.
Because it's said to make you live longer. And it did, according to the records dating back to the 1800s. But what they didn't know was that it came with a price. Once you drank the water from under the oak tree on the north side of the lake, where the water meets the broken pond, your skin started to harden like porcelain, softening wrinkles and making you appear younger. It was said to preserve you for as long as you drank from it. Many people would go to the lake to harvest the water, giving it its name. But what they didn't know was that once you began to drink the water, you could not stop. If you ran out, you would rapidly start to change. It would start as acne at first. Then, just weeks later, a strange, rusty odor, reminiscent of stagnant pond water. Eventually, your teeth would loosen and begin to fall out, as well as your hair. Desperate to ward off these effects, the people would hurry back to the shimmering waters at night, only under the light of the moon due to the shame of what they had become. They would hope that the lake could reverse the process, but by that time it was too late. As they leaned down to drink, they would slip into the water. Weak and unable to stand, their once beautiful porcelain skin began to quickly chip and crumble, trickling deeper into the lake, turning the water green with decay. And once under the surface, knowing only the watery light of the moon, their last thoughts of the world they once took advantage of, reminiscing of the days when they would go fishing on the lake, completely convinced they had an eternity. The brief moments when the sun would hit the horizon, memories like skeletons in the closet, as they simply became the monster they had once heard stories of.
I love storytelling so much, so this is a treat for both of us. Hope you enjoy.
I like before I would do little sketches of what I wanted to create. And this one's really funny for this particular piece because the sketch I saw this piece so clearly in my mind that the sketch is so shitty. Because I didn't really need a sketch. I kind of knew exactly how I wanted to do it, how I was going to execute it, what it was going to look like. I'll show the sketch on screen. It's so funny. It's so funny. Like the it's just like a shitty little skeleton and like a squiggle where the pond is, and that's it. It's so stupid. Because like I don't even know why I did a sketch. Like it was so unnecessary. Like it was just such a clear vision in my head that I wanted to do. I didn't need the sketch, but I think it's funny that I have it. The vision I had for the pond was yes, that the water is really clear. It's really clean and clear, but at the bottom it's really murky. So that's where the monster is hiding. So he's hiding in this murky, dirty part of the lake, but you wouldn't know that it's like deeper because of the clearness of the top part of the water. So if you were to go into this lake, it's deeper and far more creepy than you would think.
Yeah, no, that's why I really liked about it too, is because I kind of said I liked how they said it was like an emerald green color, and so you think it's a really that's a really beautiful color if you've ever been to like an actual like if you ever actually it's like Tahoe because you've been to Tahoe. It's like when you see that really pretty like blue green water and you're like, oh, that's gorgeous, and then after the story, you're like, so you're telling me that I'm like swimming with a whole bunch of decayed bodies in there? Um, you're like, oh, okay. But then since the pond is the offset of it, that would make sense because it's running water running into that pond. So that's why it's clear. And that's why I liked your monster kind of coming up. And he's like, oh.
I think it's interesting to see the difference, like what inspires you by it, because that's kind of why we make art, to inspire other people. So it's interesting to see what other people see in the artwork, because I had kind of a vision, but like there's not much of a story behind it. I don't know. It's hard to see on the sculpture. It's hard to see on the sculpture itself, but the skeleton's actually sitting on a coffin. My idea was that he kind of dug himself out of the coffin because he wanted to spend one more day at the lake um, that he was buried next to, and he he's sitting there, and just a stray cat kind of wanders up, and they just kind of spend a day just hanging out at the lake, and there is a monster in the lake, but he's not a threat to them. He's just kind of observing. Um, He's kind of just observing this random pair by his lake that he's never seen before. Because, like I said, when I made this piece, it didn't really have a story attached to it. It was just I don't know if other artists have the same thing that happens to them, but it just kind of popped in my head, and I really wanted to make it. But yeah, I like that it has a story behind it and lore, and that this lake kind of eats people up. It promises them, beauty or whatnot, but it ends up, causing them to decay and essentially almost like feeding the lake, so that there's more than one. Because there's only one in my sculpture, but the story kind of insinuates that the lake is essentially hungry and it's creating these monsters out of people that it had originally made beautiful, but then the lake kind of consumed them and turned them into these monsters.
That's exactly what I kind of got from it too. I liked that idea because if the records and everything had gone so far back, then it would have made sense of why there's going to be more than one.
Which essentially, when I made the piece, I didn't want the monster in the lake to seem like it was a threat to the skeleton and the cat um, in it. It was just kind of observing them, I guess, and being that the monster is these people that were once beautiful. Um, I think the story also kind of has that same feeling, like this monster isn't after the skeleton.
Liked adding that part in there was because it's even though he's the monster, it's like that skeleton. How people say you have skeletons in your closet, and that essentially is his skeleton in the closet. He's like that was from a time I was so happy. I used to come here and I loved it. Like I loved life. He didn't want anything bad. He was just like all he wanted was the fountain of youth, which out of all fairness, I think that's a lot of us because like I know if it was me, if I heard something like this and I had water or anything even if it was fruit, water, anything that I knew that can keep me young from getting old, I would do it. I would I wouldn't think about the consequences. I would just be happy that I could finally be young again.
I mean, you hear back in the day, they used to sell stuff like radium to people, as like medicine and as cosmetics. And I mean, even the radium girls, when they made watches out of it, and they told them that, that was safe, and they put it in their mouth, and then their jaws started falling off and whatever. That's very similar to what the lake is doing to these people. It's offering them, you know, health and beauty, and then it just consumes them like the olden days of radium.
That's actually interesting. I didn't know about that. It was funny because where I got the drinking the water from was I Love Tuck Everlasting, and that was them when they're like they just drink the water and stayed young. And then it's funny because I got the porcelain idea from Catwoman with Halle Berry. So what she had, her boss, the person that she had worked for, and the reason she died and became Catwoman, was they would take this like cream, and the cream made them porcelain and made them absolutely beautiful and young. But at the very end, when she falls, she ends up shattering because her skin is all porcelain now. So she was essentially like glass.
It's funny because your story also kind of reminds me of another book that unfortunately I haven't read yet. It's been on my TBR for like years. When did this book come out? This book, oh, come on. This came out in 2018, and it's a book I haven't read yet, but it's called The Rust Maidens. And essentially, it's about these women that slowly turn to rust, which when you were reading your story reminded me of that. And I'm like, wow, that's so funny that it's kind of similar, but not, because I know you haven't read that or heard of it. So
That's interesting. That's I hope our viewers almost feel that same way, like how it made you think of things. Like that's what I really like about stories, but also like artwork like yours, is that you can look at it, and I feel like that's why a lot of people will pick a piece of art too. Is that they see it and they just in their head they kind of come up with a whole entire story or like a thing with it. And when you're telling a story, your imagination picks pieces from stuff that you've heard about or remember, and it kind of puts all those together.
yeah, it's always interesting too, especially as an artist or as somebody who really enjoys art, because I do both. Um, it's kind of interesting to see the kind of emotions or the story that someone will put behind a piece of artwork that you've made, because everyone's perception is always a little bit different, and it's cool to hear those unique stories or those unique feelings that they see that piece of art and they're like, wow, that reminds me, that makes me sad, or that makes me happy, or so it'd be interesting to see if anybody else had anything to add, or it's just cool. It's cool having that, seeing everybody's different perceptions of pieces of art.
Especially because a lot of your skeletons that you have, like a lot of your pieces, that's almost how I feel with each one. Like I can slightly look at it and I'm like, oh, it's like my imagination will just run free. That's why I was so excited when you were like, you want to write a story about one of these? I'm like, yes.
You've always said that you want to write stories and that you like writing stories. So I figured that'd be a fun way to kind of tie us both together and make a video. And, this story is unique to us. It's not a Reddit story. It's not someone else's piece that we're reading. This is your original art and my original art kind of colliding and coming together, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah. So it doesn't have as much lore or as much story behind like what you had written, but I think that's cool. I think that's interesting, and it kind of goes to show everybody's different styles of creativity, because even the skeleton I did of the guy, he's by the fire. I kind of based this guy on me and you when we used to do bonfires and stuff. I was like thinking, like, if I had one more day on Earth, like if I was dead and I wanted to come back, that's what I'd want to do, is just hang out by a bonfire with my friends and just reminisce. But my thought behind this guy was he's been dead for so long that all of his friends are gone. Like, they're not even skeletons to come back anymore. He's just kind of by himself. I think I'm going to try and start getting away from just doing the skeletons and kind of doing more like other things. Like, I finished my carrot who's over here for Easter. I finished my stupid little carrot, which ended up being my most popular TikTok, which is crazy because he's so stupid. But you never know what people are gonna like. But I still want to make the skeletons because I really like making skeletons. But um, like the story that I have kind of written, it's really long though. Like, we performed your story in like 5 minutes. This story is like 6 pages long. It's kind of based off of a book I read called Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. And this witch makes a dog. She like wires a dog together. to help her in her journey to save her sister. And I thought, well, what if a witch made a monster to help her get revenge? Like, what would that look like? So that's kind of what I wrote. So I want to build. He's still kind of like he's like a rotten skeleton thing. So I kind of want to do. I'm still sticking with the skeleton thing, but I'm making it a little bit not human. It's gonna be a monster, and it's gonna have like maybe pieces of flesh still on it. Yeah, I got that guy I made, which is a anglerfish, right before that anglerfish washed up on shore and got really popular. And then my witch, and then I just have my flowers up. What else do I have? Oh yeah, my moon's not even up. I don't even have a moon up over here. I don't have a moon up in my background, but I have a moon.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming by again and listening to my tales of the skeletons. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you for looking at my art. Our Jessica's Instagram will be in the description, and my TikTok, where I post all my art, which you can kind of see in the background here, will be in the description as well. So give us a follow, and maybe you want to write a story too. Hey, we'll have multiple stories. It'll be fun.
It would be fun. Just you just gotta comment and let us know.
Yeah, or email us. I'll put our email in the description too. All right, bye. Bye.
All right, bye everyone.